What's up, traders? 7-Star Mike here for Trade Talk Media with a quick video on how to set up a potential trade. So this is the initial setup here. There's a lot going on here, so I'm going to break it down and make it a little bit easier for you. But AVGO popped up on one of my scans, so we're going to take a look on how we can set this up for a potential trade in either direction. So AVGO popped up on a scan, which is what initially brought it to my attention. And we're going to start with this green line here. You can see we're a little bit above that. So why do I have a line at 302.77? You can see there was support in here on a bunch of days. There was some support in here, and resistance, resistance. So in technical analysis, we have this term where resistance becomes support. It broke a little bit there, but ultimately held as support. Support again, support and support. So we're hovering just above that level. So that's where I want to see what happens. When we come all the way down here, does it hold the support and bounce again? Or do we break through that level and maybe take a downside trade? So that level, 302.77, and remember, it doesn't have to be that exact number. It can be close to that range, but that's the level I'm looking at for a trade setup. Monday, where we open, I want to see whether we open above here and climb, or if we maybe breach below that and look for a downside trade. So the first line I've got on my chart is 302.77. That was previous resistance that became support, and we're currently hovering just above that area. So if you guys like this kind of content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content, share this video with your friends so we can all learn something new, and leave a comment below. Let me know if these trade setups work for you and if this is how you plan your trades. Now, let's get back to the chart. The next level is 319.12. The reason I have that there is I had a line over here where it was resistance previously, tried to break through, couldn't sustain it, tried to break through, couldn't sustain it. So that was a resistance level that I had drawn on my charts. It also popped up here to that same level, got rejected, popped up here and got rejected again. So if we have an upside move, that 319.12 area is where I'm going to be looking at for an initial target. Now, it doesn't have to get exactly there. Remember, these are just levels. They're not specific numbers. Since it's pretty close to 319, we can round it off there. Since this one moves pretty big, we can round it off to 320. But if it's anywhere in this area here, that's where I'm going to start to look for taking the position off the table. Now, on the downside of things, 292.41 is where I have a line drawn, and that's because there was some support over here. You can see it was also resistance over here. So again, resistance becomes support. Now, we did have all of this breakdown in here, but I'm still looking at that line because it was a technical level over here. It was a technical level over here. So if we drop, I'm going to look for it to maybe hold this level as a new support. So if we're playing a downside trade, I want to see if it comes down here and maybe find some support and then bounces, or if it continues down. But either way, this level here, if it were to drop, this is where I would be looking at to take some off of the downside position, depending on what it does once it gets to this area here. Now, I also have a line here at 298.80, and the reason for that is there was some support in here, a little bit of resistance. We did break above that level, but we couldn't hold there. This candle here, the low was that level. This candle was the low. This candle was the high. This candle was the high. So 298.80 is another area I would be looking at if we were playing to the downside. So I'm going to watch that when it gets to there and see what it does. If it pauses, maybe take some off there. If it doesn't pause, looking for that further downside to that major level I had. So now that we have all of our levels drawn out, that's the full trade. You've got the level that it's at here, a potential resistance up here, a potential support down here, another potential support here. That's our profit area there. If it hits this level and bounces, we're looking for it to go anywhere up in that area. If it breaks that level, we're looking for a downside trade to go somewhere down in here. Again, looking at this area as well as potential support. So you just kind of have to watch the chart, see where there's momentum, see whether there's strength in either direction, and just play what the chart gives us. If we have a bounce here, taking it to the upside, looking for somewhere up here. If it doesn't hold this level as support, looking for a downward trade down to this level here. And again, we're going to manage that just depending on what we see on the chart on a daily basis. So there's a quick trade setup for you. You've got your target levels to the upside and downside in case it goes in either direction, since we can't see the future. We're going to look for a level to hold a support or break, and depending on if it holds or breaks, that's the direction we're going to take the trade. We've got our targets defined to the upside and to the downside, and all we're going to do is watch the chart to see which one plays out, and we're going to manage that appropriately.